Hello everyone.
Hi everyone. Good evening.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, Imran sir. So I hope you are ready now and we can start the session, sir.
Sure. Thanks, Jaspreet. And hi everyone. Welcome to the another session where we'll be talking about the same. Like we'll be continuing the previous class and all the things which we covered yesterday. Uh,
Yes, sir, we can just do 2-3 minutes recap and then we can start the session. And at the end of the session, we'll take the doubt session. Okay?
sure.
Yeah,
So
thank you.
So yesterday we covered the difference between the defensive security and the offensive security, and we did the labs and we touched base on the network security also with the netting, right? So I just wanted to know if you guys have any questions related to that, any concerns you are facing with, or you want to know anything more about those things. So feel free to ask. We can have a questions in the starting of the class, and we'll take the questions at the end of the class. Anyone? I guess then I think we should continue with the class then. Today we'll be we'll be touching the base for the network security part, where we'll be looking at how the traffic flow, what the topology means, and how we configure the VPNs, and we'll touch base on the application ID, content ID, user ID features of Palo Alto's. Uh, how the encryption SSL inspection works in Palo Alto if everything is encrypted. So yesterday we touched based on confidentiality also, where I told the confidentiality uh, is achieved when we can do it using the encryption, but at the same time when there is encryption for every traffic, how would how would a network administrator know that what is going inside that packet? So attackers are very smart. What they do is they uses the standard protocols and they encrypt, so the traffic is encrypted as it is going for the HTTPS. So firewall, though, so the traditional firewalls were not able to they inspect the packet which is going inside an encrypted packet. So now, since we are having next generation firewalls, any packet which is going via the next generation firewall, we can enable the SSL inspection to that traffic as well. So what firewall does is it opens the packet. It means it decrypts the packet. It checks for the data, what is there inside that. It checks comparing to the application base, which is a app ID feature. It is a patent which Palo Alto is having, and they are using it, and just to see if any anomalies or any unwanted traffic is going inside an encrypted traffic. So I think if we'll start with the, so I'll just share my screen. I think I can explain better with a whiteboard, and you guys can relate. And if you have any questions, then we can take the questions. So, guys, as I said yesterday, your engagement to this particular session is very important. If you have any questions, anything you want to say, contribute, or you know anything, I'll ask the certain questions. So I would acknowledge if you guys come in and pitch the things if you know, right? So, just moving on. So now let's talk about the packet flow, how the packet flows inside the firewall, right? Or so what happens is whenever there is a traffic which comes to a Palo Alto firewall, suppose this is a firewall, right? This is your internal zone. We can call it as secure zone, and this is, you can say, the internet. That's an untrusted zone. So in Palo Alto terms we call it as trust zone also, or secure zone. And on the other side where there is an internet, it is known as untrust zone. So I'll just tell you how the architecture is for almost all the organizations. What they have is majorly there are three zones, right? One is trust zone, another is untrust zone, and the third is the demilitarized zone. So Anybody who knows what is a DMZ? Anyone?
Management port.
Okay. So suppose like if you're gonna take the management port, will you give it on demilitarized zone? No. So you will be having the management port from the secure side. So what do I mean by the secure side means is this is your LAN, this is your internal network, this is organization's users, and where the administrators are also sitting and taking the remote, or you can say the administrative control of this firewall. If we provide it on the DMZ side, right? So what happens is the DMZ is a demilitarized zone, which is an unsecure zone as well. Here you host the servers which are to be exposed publicly, right? So if you are logging into any application, suppose like your banking applications, so that server is hosted in the DMZ zone where you are able to log in. So anyone who is from the internet, if they have to reach out to any server which is there, so what company does is they don't expose their trusted zone to the internet. What they do is they place their servers in the DMZ zone and allow the traffic from the untrusted zone to reach out to the DMZ zone to access those servers, right? You're following me?
Sir,
Right. So this is how a basic architecture is. So this you can say a source is a trusted zone. Here you can say it's an untrusted zone, and this is a demilitarized zone, right? This is how it is, and these are the interfaces where your zones connect. So anyone who is coming from, suppose like here we have defined VLANs, right? So anybody who is not from the networking background or the security background already, so please don't worry, we'll be covering all the things. What a VLAN is, how it is formed, what a LAN, what is the difference between LAN and VLAN, right? So now there are virtual VLANs also which are coming into play. So that we'll cover everything. So if I talk about, so if suppose you have multiple VLANs here, they're connected through a switch and then the routers, and then if they have to go to the internet, so they'll reach out to this interface. We have all the policies defined in the firewall, what to allow from the traffic from the source zone to the untrusted zone as per the request which is coming in. And if we talk about the web traffic, the HTTP and HTTP is allowed from the source zone to the untrusted zone. This is how the traffic flows. And at the same time, when the untrusted zone means anyone from the internet who wants to reach out to our servers, we place those servers in the DMZ zone so that they can come and access those servers. This is how a secure model architecture is for most of the organizations, right? Here the page. So what happens is when the traffic reaches out to the firewall, anybody, anybody who is familiar with the packet flow? No. So what happens is whenever the traffic reaches out to the firewall, suppose this is a firewall, suppose we have a DMZ here again, where we are having some servers. This is internet. Uh, Anybody who is sitting at home wants to access. Suppose this is an Amazon architecture, right? Here they are having their website servers where anybody can reach, right? So Asia BB is saying rules check hote hain, right? Uh, but there is a flow. It's only not about the rules, right? So when a packet comes in, so it is known as, so when it lands onto this interface, this is the external interface of the firewall. Here you have the netting. You cannot also expose the direct IP of your DMZ servers to the internet. So if you are having a load balancer or you are having your perimeter firewalls, so you can expose. So our DMZ servers might be having the IPI 10.1.2.1 or 2.2. Maybe this will be having like 172.16.20.1 or 20.10. So these are the private ranges. We cannot expose this our server IPs to the internet. So what we do is anybody who is reaching out from the internet side reaches out to this interface, and then we place a destination NAT here, right? So anybody who's reaching out to this particular port, right, and reaching out to any particular port. So we have the policies, we have the policy based forwarding, which is the routing. We define the zones. So creating a policy on a firewall, it's not like simple for the traditional firewalls which used to work on layer 3 network layers. They only used to work on the source IP, destination IP, and the destination port. So it's not the thing here. Now you have to configure the decryption policy also. You have to enable application ID. You have to check if the ports are allowed or not. So what happens is when the traffic comes in, first thing it check is what is the source zone. So can anybody tell what is the source zone for this internet side? I just explained with the diagram before. Anyone?
This is the one, sir. 2.16.10
No, I'm asking about what the internet zone we call it in firewall, Palo Alto firewall. What is this
Untouched.
zone? Right. This is untrusted zone. So first thing it check is what is the source zone. So here the source zone is untrust, right? And when it comes along a source IP. So what it check is what is the source IP, what is the destination IP, and then it check for the user ID also. So user ID means if there are known users, we have ID defined for those users. So it checks like is it my known user ID? Okay, if it is not, then let's move to the next part. What is the next part? It checks for the policy based forwarding, which is the routing part in the firewall, right? So this is the traffic which I'm talking about. It is happening inside the firewall. So why I am telling you this, when you'll be getting interviewed by an interviewer, they'll be surely asking you what is the traffic flow, what is the packet flow inside the firewall. Every firewall has a defined packet flow and the different packet flow. Here we are talking about Palo Alto. That is why I'm telling you the packet flow for firewall. If we talk about checkpoints, they have a different packet flow. We talk about 14 they have a different packet flow. So every firewall is having a different packet flow again. So why I'm enforcing on this particular point, this will be the first question when you enter an interview for a Palo Alto, for a network security Palo Alto administrator. So what happens is it's the packet comes in, initial packet processing happens with checking the source zone, source IP, user ID, then it checks for the routing part, as I said, then it checks for the destination zone. Now where this traffic has to go. It comes up with the source IP and destination IP. So firewall checks up where this destination zone is. Okay, this is my DMZ. Okay. Now what happens? It evaluates the NAT. Does anybody know what is NAT?
Yes, sir. NAT is a network address
Network
translation.
address
This is a security
translation.
policy. So by use of NAT, we
We,
can
we can
translate
hide
our address.
Mostly
we,
private, public to
we
private.
we can hide our original IP.
Yes.
Right. So I thought like somebody said like it changed from the private to public, right?
So it's not like that. It can change public to private to private, public to public,
Absolutely
and
right.
what? Sir,
So
may I ask a question? That was a very basic. Should
sure.
I? Yes, sir. Can you tell me what is the difference between UTM and next generation firewall?
Right. So there are basically two major differences between a UTM and a next generation firewalls. So UTM, so what happens in UTM, you buy the blades, like, right? So if I say we have a IPS, IDS, then buy IPS, then you buy the IDS, then you have the antivirus filtering, then you have the IPsec blades, and you combine those all the blades and form a firewall, right? And it is all also does not provide you with the level of security with the next generation provides you with working at layer 7. So if you talk about and also what next generation comes with is single pass parallel processing. So what happens in UTM is you have different blades, right? As I said, IPS, IDS, antivirus filtering, IPsec, VPN blade, and then the policy, you have another blade. So when traffic comes in, it has to go to each blade one by one. So it will come here, go to this blade, then this blade. Okay, if we have 10 blades, 0.1 second for one blade, it will be like 1 second to complete the whole it has to pass the whole all of the blades. It will take around 1 second, right? But in the next generation firewall, you have single pass parallel processing, right? So you have the data planes and the control planes. In the control planes, you have the application ID, user ID, content ID, right? So when you go in, it will check all the blades in one go and will be passed. So the traffic is much faster in next generation fiber, and also they checks on the application ID, where the UTMs are not that much strong at checking just like the application based filtering. Just like it can work on layer 7, just like the WAFs, it can do the inspections. They cannot do what next generation firewall is capable of. They check for the SSL out. They can act for SSL outbound proxy, which is also known as forward proxy. And also when there is a traffic coming in, it checks for the SSL inbound inspection, and also they can act as an SSH proxy. So yeah, if somebody asks this question, you can answer them this question, right? I hope I answered your question.
Okay. So, sir, is Sophos is UTM or next generation firewall? I have a doubt on it.
So
Sophos,
Sophos, it's not like Sophos is a next generation. So you depend upon the license which you
okay,
are purchasing, what all blades you are getting, right? If you want to purchase a single blade and you want to make it like but it's an since every vendor has gone to next generation firewall. Sophos is when anybody reaches out to any vendor like Checkpoint, Palo Alto, Sophos, Fortinets, they just go in and what they see is like what is getting proposed by the vendor is they propose the next generation firewalls. They have a much better capability. Their reach is more. They are like elasticity is more. You can increase the the cores. You can increase the memories, or you can add on the word in the. So if so, right now what is happening is everything is going on software mode, right? So everyone everybody don't want to purchase a physical device. They are moving to the VMs, right? So what they want is they want a big VM, right? A bare metal VM which we have in the data centers. They want the firewalls to be installed over that VM. Anything which is coming in gets checked by that firewall which is installed on a VM. So that's a software defined security. So if you have heard about the SD-WANs, right,
yes,
or
sir,
a
I
SaaS,
heard that.
right, SASE, so secure access service edge. So these are all, everything is getting on the software base than the hardware. So yes, the answer to your question is yes. Sophos is a next gen firewall, but else at
But
the
it is,
same time,
sir,
depending upon the requirement of the customer, they also proposes the UTM, and every vendor does. Right?
sir, I think, sir, it's depend on model number also, because that low grade means old model number is not supported next generation firewall also.
Absolutely. Recently, they all are upgrading to the next generation firewall. So the older ones, when they started with, was with the traditional layer 3 firewalls, and then they move out to UTMs, and now so UTM is nothing just like a unified threat management. If somebody is not clear about this, for those who are new to this domain, I'm clearing out. And then you have the next generation firewalls. I think people, you have a question.
Hello.
Yes, people.
A difference between next generation firewall and UTM. And other thing is what Sophos firewall, Palo Alto firewall, and Fortinet firewall is same as next gen firewall or in UTM this firewall.
So you are saying the correct thing, which we just discussed. It is like when you say like UTMs, it is just the blades getting together and you are delivering the same service, but it is not single pass parallel processing. So when we starting this particular course for Palo Alto, we'll be studying about the architecture of Palo Alto. There you'll see like how the single pass happens, what happens on the hardware side and what happens on the software side, right? So yes, every vendor is upgrading their firewalls to the next generation firewalls, because the demand which is coming from the customer side is for the next generation firewalls which can work on the layer 7 for covering the application layer attacks. So when we'll be talking about the SOC, we'll be talking about the West top 10, right? So these are the top 10 vulnerabilities which are being exploited for at the application level, layer 7.
So, sir, Palo Alto firewall is a next gen firewall, right?
Yes.
And
Palo Alto is
Fortinet also.
yes, Fortinet also is the next generation firewall.
We
Sir,
are getting more security, right, now, sir?
Yes,
Uh,
with next generation firewalls, you're getting the more security. Absolutely.
Yeah, and sir, what is the basic work of firewall, sir? I actually not understand. Firewall basic work, sir. What
So
it do?
firewall, if you go on with the traditional firewalls which used to work on layer 3, they were like they were just acting as a router. You can also block the traffic on the router if you have worked upon it. It will just check for the source IP, destination IP, and the destination port. On that basis, it will allow and block. And what happens with the next generation firewall is, but earlier also you were having the firewalls to protect your perimeters, your border security. So right now we are having the firewalls at the border, but still we have the firewalls internally as well, right? If we are segregating the VLANs, right? If we are having a merger with the another company, if the company is selling out, reducing the size of the company, they have the defined firewall. So it depends upon the architecture, but primarily the motive of the firewall is to protect the perimeter network. Right? It's a perimeter device.
Yes, sir. Means allowed inbound traffic or outbound traffic, sir. Firewall allowed
Both. So
both.
it can allow both.
Okay.
It depends.
Depending upon the architecture of the environment, it can be used as the proxy solution. But since everybody is work for the web traffic, they are looking out for the proxies like Zscalers. Fortinet has a proxy, 40 proxy. Then you have a blue code. So everybody is looking out for the proxy solutions for web traffic. But yes, you can use the firewall as for the web traffic also, because it also provides the protection from the layer 7, right?
excuse me, sir.
Like, sir, in the router, we can use ACL for stopping the
Right.
output.
So it's like a policy, but when we talk about the firewall, so router does not provide you the SSL inspection.
Yes,
So
yes. And even in the group also, we can create a rule for single rule. We can stop the traffic, outbound traffic coming to inside.
absolutely. And it also provides you with the netting and netting, defining the netting policies. You can block the traffic, but it is limited to some point. It will get limited to some point. And also networks works on layer 3. But when we are talking about next generation firewall, they are different, right? It will protect your web servers. So router won't be able to protect your web servers, either this layer 3 firewalls.
Sir.
Yes,
Uh, Yes, so when we start Palo Alto training, so as per the official syllabus, we got a three type of option. So first is I just is the few weeks ago I searched on Google, so I got the details. So can you tell me what is the Prisma, Cortex, and like Strata as well?
sorry, I'll start answering with your first question. When you asked, like, there are multiple components, or I could say multiple products which Palo Alto offers, right?
Okay.
So it is related to Palo Alto, where they provide the Prisma as a cloud solution. They provide Cortex XDR for the endpoints. They are having their SIM and SOAR solution coming in, which is Cortex XIM. I was involved in this particular training with Palo Alto when they were launching this product, and it's a very good product. So if you say, like, every product has a different functionality, so we cannot relate it with the firewalls, but at the same time they are related. If we talk about the Wildfire unit 2, so unit 2 is a department in Palo Alto which is looking after the intelligence part, right? And the Wildfire relates to it. If we talk about Prisma, that's a cloud solution, and we talk about Aperture, that's a CASB solution which Palo Alto is providing.
Like sir, different thing, different devices.
Yeah, so it's a different products altogether. So if we talk about Prisma Cloud, it's a application level. You can say it's a SaaS type of the s- the solution which they are proposing, which they are having the IAC securities. They are having the softwares right related to it. So if you have followed the SaaS solutions, I think everybody here would be using this Office 365, right?
Yes, it's called a software as a service.
Right. So there, where the vendor is responsible for performing everything, they are responsible for everything. So they are also doing the CSPM, cloud security posture management, which we say they are doing the workload protection as well. So it provides the benefit to the client that they don't have to be worry about anything. So these services works with the other cloud services as well and protect them for the client, and they don't have to do anything because they are serving as a software as a service. But many companies looks up for the PaaS solution also, which is a platform as a service, where they keep something to themselves, right? If we talk about the security part, they look, so they want to manage their applications on their own. They want to keep the hold of their data. At the same time, when we'll be touching base when we're talking about the SOC, how cloud platform works, what type of cyber attacks can happen on the cloud solutions. So that is what we'll be covering up, going forward. So
Okay.
Means sir, firewall basic work is allowed inbound and outbound traffic, but stop outbound traffic, right?
no, it can stop inbound traffic as well. So when we place a policy on a firewall, so you will, so if we talk about the Palo Alto firewall, so what you will define in the policy, you will define what will be the source zone. So if suppose somebody is sitting on the internet, we don't know who, so we what we do is we keep the source as all, right? So if we have, okay, I'll just clear it up and explain you. Suppose, okay, one second.
Okay.
Suppose this is a firewall, right? You have internet here. Suppose this is your external interface, right? And you are having a web application hosted here in DMZ, right? So anybody who is sitting on the internet, we have hosted a web application so anybody can access, right? But we don't want them to access this particular web application on port, say, SMB port 445. So how we'll create the policy? We have to block the traffic. So SMB is a server message block port. This was the port which was exploited by the first ransomware WannaCry, and they leveraged it and to transfer the files. So what we do is we block the ports on our server. At the same time, we have to block it on our firewall as well. So anybody who is trying to reach out from the internet, right? So what policy will we write on the firewall that we stop any traffic coming out from the internet to our web server? So suppose our web server is something like 172.16.1.2. Suppose this is the IP of our server. So what we'll write is we'll first say, okay, if source zone is untrust, which is the internet, and we defined this zone as untrust. So anything which is coming in from this interface, it is coming from an untrust zone, right? So when it comes from, so source zone we defined as untrust, the destination zone we defined as DMZ. Then we defined what is the source IP. So we don't know who can come from the internet. Like anybody can come from the internet. There are multiple various ranges of the public IP subnet. So they can come in from any IP, right? So we don't know. So what we keep is, if it comes from the source zone, having the source as all, it covers all the IPs. And if it is going to our DMZ and hitting to this server 172.16.1.2, and if the port is, so if it shows that this is the IP in the destination, and if the port, the services which we are protecting is the SMB, then there you have the action. you say block. So every firewall has a different terminologies for this. If somebody says deny, somebody say block, right? So this is how you can restrict the traffic coming out from inbound traffic. So this is inbound traffic to your DMZ. So you can restrict it like this. So any questions? So I guess there's no question. So we'll move forward. And so looking at this traffic only. So suppose anybody who was trying to come into your DMZ, so it checked out for the source zone, the destination zone, the IPs, then it checked for the routing, and then it evaluates the NAT. It does not apply the NAT in the first time. It checks up, evaluates what the NAT is. It would be a destination NAT in this case, what the NAT is. So there is a NAT policy which we have to write down also. So we were covering the NAT scenario. What happens is it changed one IP to another IP. But it can also be a dynamic. So it's a static. When we say about the NAT, it is the source NAT or the destination NAT. Then we have the static NAT. Then we have dynamic NAT. So what is the difference between a static NAT and a dynamic NAT? Anyone?
What's that? What you said?
What is the difference between static NAT and dynamic NAT?
Static net, static net is 1-to-1. Dynamic net, we can do one to multiple.
Right.
For different
So
systems.
what happens is, suppose we are talking about the outbound traffic here.
Different for dynamic is for the different system IPs. One to many.
One to many, right? So what happens is, suppose we have a pool here. So suppose there is a person who is sitting on the trust zone, and he wants to access to the internet over 443, and he is very much allowed for this particular policy from the policy side, right? So if this client who wants to reach out to the internet and access google.com, he'll come through the secure zone, which is the trust zone, and then it comes in. And when we go in here, so we cannot allow the private IP because they are not routable over the internet. Only the public IPs are routable over the internet. So what happens is, we have a defined pool of IPs here, right? So we have public IPs. So this guy comes in, right, and it checks up for the policy and allow the traffic. But what happens is, it picks one of the IP from here, and then it using that IP, it reaches out to the internet. So that IP gets assigned to this guy, but he has picked out from a pool. So that's a dynamic net, right?
Yes, sir.
Right. So we were talking about the inbound flow. Someone was having the query like, if it is blocked, right? If we can block the inbound traffic, yes, we can block the inbound traffic as well as the outbound traffic. And the way it is not only related to the policy side nowadays. What we have to configure is, we have to configure the decryption policies also. What is a decryption policy? If anyone can explain, or anybody having a clue about it, what is a decryption policies? Okay. So what happens is, suppose this guy who wants to go to the internet, right? And what he will do is, he's very smart, right? He wants to transfer his personal information or documents in a written format, and so what he does is, he access a website, suppose googledrive.com, using this connection, and Google Drive is working on 443, right? So he wants to send anything in the packet, and just he wants to deliver it to the other side, to his personal account, right? This is just an example which I'm giving. But in the real attack scenario, this is different. What attacker does is, he gets the hold of this system, he generates a traffic towards the C2 server, uh, with the defined standard protocols. If I say, he will be doing DNS tunneling, so you won't be so as a traditional firewall will not be detecting it. Okay, that's it, that is fine. But now the companies are having a compliance for maintaining the decryption policy. So what decryption policy does is, when it reaches out to the firewall, firewall will decrypt the packet to see if that is really a DNS traffic or not. Okay, it says like it is port 53, but is it sending out something other than the DNS query or a response? So if it is going outbound, it should be a DNS query type of traffic. It should only have a URL in it, right? And to get a response, it is sending out, right? For an example, but what in real scenario happens is there is an internal DNS which we have in the environment. This guy reaches out to the internal DNS. If it does not get resolved, then this DNS goes out and checks up for the results from the external DNS, which is at the other side, at the internet. Right? So what happens is, with the decryption policy if we have in place, it decrypts the packet, check if it is really a DNS packet or not using the app based feature, application ID based feature, and there it comes to know, okay, yes, it's not a DNS, okay, it's a DNS. Then again it re-encrypts the packet and then deliver it to the destination. And when the traffic comes back, right? So since we are working on a stateful inspection firewalls, so return traffic is allowed, but again it will again decrypt the packet, checks the traffic response, okay, re-encrypts it and send it back to the client. So this is how a decryption policy works, right? So if we go into the different modes of decryption policy, right? So I'll just explain a quick explanation for the SSL outbound proxy. You'll come to know like how it works. Anybody? Okay. So what happens is this is a decryption mirroring, or you would say like it's a SSL forward proxy type of stuff. It is used for decrypting the traffic. It changes it to plain text, and then it sees like if it is a defined traffic or not, and forwards that traffic to any of uh, the destination. Or it can, what it can do is it can configure, it can send it to the another third party solution also. Okay, if we talk about decryption mirroring, what happens is the traffic coming in is encrypted, right? It comes up to the firewall. So what happens is firewall will decrypt the packet and see what is inside that packet. So it will be a plain text. So it will again re-encrypt the packet and forward it. But what we can do is we can configure firewall to send all this decrypted packet to another solution, third party solution. You can say a SIM, where a SOC team can use that traffic for their correlations. So anything which will be missed by the firewall can get captured during using the same correlation logics. So this is how a decryption mirroring works. So anybody who so you guys will be getting interviewed shortly for these things if you'll be applying for the security administrator role, network administrator role. So these type of questions will be asked, like what is decryption mirroring, what is SSL inbound inspection, what is SSH proxy, how you can achieve it using the Palo Alto firewall. So this is how you tell them, okay, this is how we do it, how you can use the certificates, right? What is the role of certificate authority when you make a SSL root certificate for your firewall? What is the usage of it? So this is how you're going to explain, like, so when we'll be covering these courses or this course, right, we'll be taking one topic at a time, and I'll be just helping you guys, okay, what you can deliver it during the interview which will impress the interviewer at that time, right? So it's not like if you will say, so as a layman you will explain, okay, this is a traffic coming in, firewall will check it. But if you will show it, so right now they are using the whiteboarding also. So they'll ask you, okay, you draw a diagram and show us. If they are not asking you to do it on the firewall, so they will be asking you to do this. So just like I explained, if they ask you how a policy is created on the firewall, you don't simply say, okay, source IP, destination IP port, we allow or deny. No, we check the zones. It checks the zones. It like firewall does it due diligence, and then on the basis of due diligence it performs the due care. So these are the answers which they are expecting right? At the same time, they are looking out how confident are you in the terminologies, and if you can deliver to their clients who are sitting in US, UK, and they are not looking out for a layman uh, explanations from you guys, because the person who are sitting on the other side from the client sides, they are very much technical, and also they are having a skill, because there is a that is their native language, English, right? So they are very much tricky about, so it's not tricky, it's tricky about the things which they are saying. At the same time, you need to respond to them like the way they want. So that is what the companies are looking for as well. So during our sessions, we'll be covering the technical parts or the technical points which you will be noting it down for your interviews. At the same time, we'll be doing the same for the practical side as well, from the lab side. I think Jasprit has already shared the link for the lab here. So covering out so I think if we talk about the SSL forward proxy, it is bit complicated. So I would request you all to please concentrate on it. And if you have any questions, you can ask me, right? So if you say there is a so if this is a machine, right? So it's a PC, and here you have the internet again, same scenario, and we have a firewall in between. So this is your trust zone, this is your untrust zone, right? So what happens is SSL outbound proxy is, so first it initiates the session, right? So anybody who knows about what is the SSL handshake? Okay, so whenever you are connecting with any of the websites, which are very well-known websites, so suppose like you're connecting through Zoom right now. If you connect to your mobile banking or internet banking sites, you connect to any of the sports related websites, you see on the browser there is a lock sign. Just on the left of the URL, you see a lock sign there. So guys, I just want your contribution, because
Yes, sir. Yes,
this
yes,
is
sir.
very so I think, okay, so I think this will be the first time you will be hearing these things. I know you guys have we are very much experienced in security, but from the Palo Alto firewall, this is critical. These are the questions you will face, right? So you see this lock sign, what does that mean? Anyone?
Basically, in SSL, what happens is that in that log side, there is a icon for connection is secure, and in that there is a certificate known that this has been, can say, encrypted for this period of time. So it expires after that.
All right, so that's one part of it. But if you say like if that certificate is used, right, as you said, it is used for the encryption. So if client is initiating a traffic and the server, if you say the server is here, it is also using the encryption, using the certificate. So what will happen? The firewall won't be able to see what traffic is going inside, right? So what happens on the granular level is companies allow the Facebook, but they don't allow the chat function, because people can upload the attachments to it, the users can upload the bills, they can upload the drawings, the confidential documents which the company is having. So what they want is they want to allow the Facebook, for an example, or an Instagram, but they don't want to allow the chat feature in it. What they do is they enables the app ID feature along with the SSL forward proxy. So when a user try to form a SSL connection, so it will not form SSL connection with the server. It will form SSL connection with the firewall. So what happens is you deploy a certificate in the firewall. That's a private certificate. And for that certificate, so this depends upon the PKI. PKI is public key infrastructure, which provides you so that's a so if we say about these certificates which the internet websites are using, they are being signed by the certificate authority, right? So we call it digital certificate authority, or you can say certificate authority as well. But inside the environment, if you have a PKI, right, you can generate a private certificate which will be deployed on your firewall, and you distribute the public certificate to the clients, right? So what happens is when the client says hello, So it will not be the server who will be replying back to the client. It will be this firewall who will be replying back, right? So any packet. So again, so now firewall will initiate the connection on behalf of this client to the server, and when server will reply back, this firewall will again break the packet and then respond to the client from from his side, right? The firewall will respond from his side, so client will know, okay, I'm connecting to the server, but here is a firewall sitting in between who is doing the decryptions and all. So what happens is it signs with the public certificate, and using this private certificate, firewall decrypts the packet, checks out what is going inside it, and then re-encrypts it, right, using the server's public key, and then send it to the server. So it again encrypt with the public key of server. Here the public key is of the firewall. So it will encrypt with the public key of server, deliver it to the server, server will decrypt it using its private key, and then reply back. So this is how a complete formation of the connection flow is. And if so, we'll be talking about this in details when we go deep into the lectures and the course. So it is not just like this. There are multiple things. What happens is firewall will send the server hello. So this is the handshake which comes into play, where the hello messages exchange, and then they share the cipher
Sir,
using this. Yeah, Sriram, you have
I
question.
had a question. For example, if the handshake happens, in this handshake, does the SHA value, the SHA-256 value, does it get exchanged in between that?
So it depends. So if you say the hash value, you are also trying to protect the integrity. So yeah, now you are talking about a file, right? So here what we are talking about is the web traffic, right? So if you say, why would the client who is talking to a web server will be sending the hash along with the encryption? So this is the hybrid cryptography which you are asking. So if it will be sending out the hash along with it, that is very much fine. So firewall is not changing anything in the document, right? It is not changing a single word. It is just checking what is going inside it. And if according to the app ID it is allowed, it will allow. If it is not allowed, it will block the traffic. So if hash is going along with the encryption and it reaches out, suppose it is not a web server, now it is, suppose, like this client who wants to talk to the another client, and client wants to ensure that the integrity of the message is maintained, so nobody has changed it. So I think if firewall won't be changing anything in the data, it will just be inspecting it.
Only middleman, or we can change the data.
So nobody can change the data. So
No,
as
sir.
a
Means if from starting to end.
yes, yes, absolutely. The client can only if you say this client can only change the data, nobody else can. Or if he's responding, he can only change the data, nobody else can. Traffic is encrypted throughout. There is no decryption. Only decryption which is happening is inside the firewall. So inside the firewall means it is when it is getting during the packet flow, it is getting checked.
And that particular certificate should be mentioned in the firewall.
Absolutely. So two certificates will be here. First, private certificate of the its PKI, then it will be having the public certificate of this server. So how the certificate works, how certificate authority provides you with the private certificate, and then provides you with the public certificate for the distribution, how it works, and what all features they look up to, what all happens in the SSL handshake, what type of ciphers are there, what is symmetric encryption, asymmetric encryption, hybrid cryptography, then hashing, how hashing comes into play if you're talking about the encryption, along with it, maintaining the integrity and the confidentiality and the non-repudiation part, along with the authenticity. So as I said in the first lecture, now we are no more calling CIA as a pillar of security. We have two more things, which is non-repudiation and authenticity. So we'll covering all these things in details. What are the real-time examples? So if you are applying for a senior network administrator role, you cannot just say like, okay, confidentiality, we can achieve it through encryption. No, if you'll explain them how we can achieve it using the digital certificates,
No, like
that
nobody
gives,
can, like
right.
nobody alter the data.
Yeah. So if you are applying for a senior administrator role, right? So if you are giving this statement, okay, we provide the confidentiality, so it gets protected from unauthorized access. So nobody gets to see the data or can change the data, which maintains the integrity part also. But if you're talking about confidentiality and you explain them with this scenario, how it happens, what are certificates, how it gets generated, so they will feel confident about you. Okay, you know about PKIs, you know about cryptography, right? You know about RSAs, you know about AES, what is SHA value, if we talk about integrity, what is SHA 256.512. So these all things which we'll be covering during the course. One important thing, critical part, if I would share with you guys, which is anybody who has heard about DNS sinkhole. Okay, what is DNS sinkholing? So this is the type of attack, right? So what attacker does is they do a DNS tunneling attacks, right? So as a countermeasure, what we have in our firewall is, once again, we have a DNS sinkhole present. What is DNS sinkhole? If suppose like client, so this can be the client doing it deliberately. This can be a phishing link. This can be a machine which has already been compromised and trying to make a communication with the C2 server, which is a command and control, which is the attacker server. He wants to exfiltrate the data. And what it does is it initiates the traffic towards its domain. But we have a firewall in between. So ideally what happens is when client initiates a traffic, it will go to your DNS. And if your internal DNS is not able to resolve, it will go out and check for the traffic on the external DNS, right? Or the ISP DNS, I would say. It's not the Google DNS which we are talking about here. So if a client if a client initiates a traffic, it reaches out to a firewall, and
विजय जी
what firewall
थोड़ी
does
देर में
is,
करता हूँ, क्लास ले रहा हूँ एक.
thanks for muting. So what client does is, client initiate the traffic for a malicious domain. Suppose anything.
Sorry
X,
sir.
no problem. xyz.xyz. Suppose this is a domain. It could be anything. Right? So what firewall does is it has a base. What base means? It has a reference set where it has all the URLs, malicious URLs. It has a list, right? That it gets updated automatically via the threat intelligence. As I said, the unit 42 team of Palo Alto, they are doing their part. They're deploying the signatures and the domains. And also the as a SOC team, what they does is when they get the report from their threat intelligence team, they also block the traffic on the firewall or ask the network administrators to block the traffic on the firewall. This is how it happens. So they have a block list, and they see like, okay, this is a guy who is trying to reach out to one of the websites which belongs to our block list. What it does is firewall resolves that IP with its own IP, the domain with its own IP. So now client has got the resolution. So DNS query gone to the firewall, resolution came to the client. Now client will initiate the actual traffic. It will go to again to the firewall. Boom, it will get blocked here. So why this is important? To know which client is originating the traffic. So one could argue like if it knows that it is already blocked, why it has to resolve the IP back to the client with its own IP? So because the DNS, the client reached out to DNS. DNS does not have the record of this XYZs or XYZ. It will try to reach out to the external DNS where firewall says, okay, I am the DNS. I am the server which you are looking to, which is the original server, which is C2. It says like, okay, I am the server. It responds back to this DNS. This DNS resolved it for the client. Now client initiates the traffic to the firewall and gets blocked. Now firewall knows with the logs who was that guy. So you, as a network administrator, you would think, okay, why is this important to me? But for a SOC person, it is very much important. Now they come to know from these logs which client is trying to initiate. They will talk to this guy. They will say, uh, they will say like, okay, Why are you trying to initiate? Is there any malware installed on your system? Is there any beacon on your system? Or was that a redirect URL? So they will do all their part. So when we'll be covering the SOC training, so we'll be seeing like what type of logs evaluate, what all functionality we do, the analysis we do, and the things the SOC guys do, right? They do the hypothesis. Is there any malware, the presence of malware in any other system? Is there any lateral movement, persistence, or a privilege escalation observed related to this particular client? Any other anomalies detected from this client? So this is how SOC team comes into play with network security, right? So this is how DNS sinkhole is. One more interesting topic I would like to explain is it's the wildfire. Anybody who knows what is the wildfire capability of Palo Alto firewall? And this is also different from any other firewall. That is why I'm explaining. So suppose like you have a client sitting here and a client sitting here, right? So this client wants to send out suppose the data to this guy. So there is an inbound connection with the file. So here you, since we are using next gen firewalls, we have app ID features, we have IPS enabled in it. What means is we have signatures, right? So it has a signature is can be of anything. It just look out for the pattern of that particular file or the connection. On the basis of that, they make the signatures. If that signature may matches the file, right, the behavior of that file, then it takes the action accordingly. So what happens is if this client C2, if we say this is a client who belongs to Amazon, and this is a guy who's sitting on the HCL. Suppose HCL is working for Amazon. So this guy is sending out the data, and it has a file in it. So this firewall will match the signatures to this file. Suppose it does not have the signatures. Their wildfire is not having the signature at this time. So what will it do? Any guesses? So what it'll do is it will allow the traffic. And that would be surprising to you, to many of you, that why will it allow the traffic? It does not have the signature. It could be malicious. Yes, it could be malicious, but at the same time, it could be equally important to the business. And we as a security persons does not block the business. We help them build, right? We help them to achieve what they want in a secure way. Business, as I mean, like, okay, there is a new department which is opening, and they will be having, if you are working for a manufacturing industry, or you're working in the airspace industry or a medical industry, so they have the files coming in, they have their clients who are trying to reach out to them, they are sharing the files, the bills, everything. So if we'll start stopping them in the first go, so then that will hamper their work, which will directly impact the business. And security teams works for the business, they are not the business. So that's the thing also which we'll learn, which will inbuilt in ourselves. So during my CISSP certification preparation, so when I was elevating, or I was thinking of uh, going up to the upper roles, right? So to the manager level, so then you have to consider business as well. You cannot go and make the policies, and also at the same time you have to maintain the security as well. So if somebody comes up with a request, okay, open SSH port for me for the inbound traffic, so you would say, okay, I cannot do it, because anybody who can get the access inbound, you are asking me to do it for the all internet. I cannot do it, because attacker can get hold of my server and can do a brute forcing, just like we did in the the offensive security lab yesterday. Uh, so it can do a brute forcing and get the access to a server, and that's also a database server. So you can just ask them, okay, I'll help you. How we can do it? We can use the VDIs, right? We can use Citrix servers, and we can use VPNs. So this is how you, as a security guy, you have to tell them, okay, this is how we'll do it. Sorry, getting back to this particular topic, what Wildfire is, it will allow for the first time, but at the same time, it will send a copy to their sandboxing solution, which is a Wildfire, where this file will get analyzed if it is malicious or not. So, and on the basis of that, the signatures will be added to the database. Right? So if it is a clean file, nothing will happen. It will keep on flowing here and there. But if it is a malicious file, what will happen? They will create the signature, add the signature, and what Palo Alto claim is they deploy their signatures once the sandboxing and the analysis of that file is completed within 5 to 10 minutes to all their products. So suppose anybody who is accessing using the Cortex XDR, those signatures are there as well, right? The hashes are there. So that file, if that signature is malicious, that file will get stopped right and there in that environment, or either it will not pass again from this firewall. If it does, it will get blocked, not only on this firewall, but the firewall which other organizations are also using, like the Palo Alto firewalls. They are doing this thing. At the same time, they are sharing with the other vendors also, so that they can use the signature. So this is sharing of the intelligence with the between the vendors. So that also happens. Yeah. So I think I covered the Wildfire. Is there any question? Because this is the critical question which you might see, like it is usually the question which interviewer asks. So when we go into the depth, we'll see how Wildfire works in the background. So just to elevate what we have learned, we'll see more things there.
Yes, sir. We can just take the question answer and then we can sum up the session for today.
Sure. Thanks, sir.
Yeah, guys, you are open to ask your question related to the firewall and the SOC.
Sir, for this class, if we will enroll, you are only the trainer, or
Yes,
you are the trainer, no?
branch
Okay.
sir. Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Anyone else like Akash, Aishwarya Singh, Gagan, Ishwar, Jatin, Madhumita, Shadab, Saurabh? So guys, just be interactive so that we can answer your queries, and it will be very helpful for
Sir,
you to.
I just asked the question.
Yes, I got. So it will be very helpful for you to take the decision for the enrollment, because obviously the trainer is like highly expert, right, in each and every domain. So we are here to help you to upgrade yourself, right?
And sir, one more question. I just want to know about that classes you will give us. That is for permanent, and there is some duration for the classes.
See, live class duration is for some particular time, right? But the
Okay.
recording we are giving for your reference that you can access anytime.
Okay.
Yes.
So we can see that classes again and again
Correct.
anytime.
Anytime. Yes.
So there is no duration, sir, like 1 year or something.
We have just particular duration that we can discuss. We have just, like complimentary renewal access as well option. Okay.
Okay.
That
Okay. Because for revision, sir, I just want to know.
yes, we understand.
Because I'm not IT background, so it's not easy to me to learn quickly. It's take time. Even before also, it's take time for me.
We understand. Don't worry. We'll teach you from the scratch also.
So and along with it, what just we covered, like I think it's covered most of the parts, but yes, we'll be looking up for the all the basics, the base and to the advanced level, but at the same time, we'll be keep going and prepare you for the interviews.
And
So
what is
our job is motive is to get you placed, right?
and what, sir, what is the duration for this course?
It will take around 4 months. Okay, 4 to 5 months you can consider.
Okay.
Hello.
Yes, Shadab, please continue.
Sir, we have lots of firewall and GFW. So, what is the uniqueness in Palo Alto? This is the most important question who
Okay, so
interview
if
asks.
you so Ashadab, I'll take this question. So Shadab, if you go and see the Gartner report, you see like who is the market leader in the firewall place right now and in most of the products. So many companies, many organizations are going to the Palo Alto, right? So if we talk about any region in the Arab side, right, in the south east So they are all using the Palo Alto firewalls, and in US you will see all the clients using the Palo Altos. Europe's you'll see the Palo Altos, right? Anybody who is using the Fortinet checkpoints, they are migrating to Palo Altos. And not only Palo Alto, to their other products as well. Like I said, the Prisma, the Cortex XDR, Cortex XIAM. So that's a new solution which they have come now. So anybody who was the client who was working on the QRadar Splunk side, I think that is still there in the market. So IBM is a leader, and then the Splunk is a leader. But what Cortex XIM is coming is with the SOAR and plus the SIM solution, right? Where the other vendors are giving two separate solutions, they have collaborated and created one solution, right? With the same thing, IBM what is doing is it is collaborating with they have brought a next gen tool, which is a IBM UAX tool, right? Unified Analyst Experience. So they are also coming up with these things where you can do the threat management and also the SOAR part for the blocking and the threat huntings. That all they are trying to cover as much as they can in one department. So answer to your question is they are the market leaders, and they are just growing. And everyone are migrating their firewalls to the Palo Altos.
Okay. And wildfire feature is only in Palo Alto or any other firewall, sir?
Wildfire is patent for Palo Alto. So they are the one who claims that they do, and I have seen that happening myself when we work in the real time scenario. We see the threat intelligence feeds coming in from the Palo Alto are far better than the other vendors.
Okay. Thank you.
Right. Any more questions?
Yes, I think all is clear for the day, sir. We can, sum up the session, and guys, you can connect with the counseling team for admission part. Okay.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, sir. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Imran.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good night and
Thank
a
you,
happy
sir.
weekend.
Thank you, sir.
It was very informative session. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir.